Rail grinding in Sonic games has become one of, if not the most iconic level set piece in the entire Sonic series. Starting in Sonic Adventure 2, Sonic with his newly equipped soap shoes could hop on a set of rails and ride down them for a quick boost of speed. It blends well into the surrounding environments and really sells the more realistic setting of the game, but nowadays, I'm literally just holding down the boost button and moving forward for 15 seconds. This is insane! So yeah, rail grinding has gotten kinda stale for the past, 20 years at this point. Today I just wanted to talk about them and see if I can point to when this really cool mechanic got turned to the Luminous-Forest-wanna-be that it is today, and what Sonic Team could do to fix this issue in Frontiers 2. With that being said, leave a like on the video, and if you enjoy nerdy white guys on the internet talking about Sonic the Hedgehog, then you should subscribe because that's exactly what I'm doing today. And also don't forget to check out this channel's partner, Figgies. If you want to save 5% off your next Figgies order, use my coupon in the description below. Now, let's dive in, starting with taking a look at Sonic Adventure 2's level design. For the most part, Sonic & Shadow's levels follow the design philosophy of cartoony realism. Like yeah, Sonic runs through a realistic-ish city in City Escape, but a real city isn't gonna have ramps in the middle of the road or springs bouncing people 20 feet in the air. That would be unsafe. The speed levels that I think pull this off the best are City Escape, Metal Harbor, Green Forest, Radical Highway, and White Jungle. They put Sonic or Shadow in these realistic looking places and require them to run from beginning to end while seeing things you'd probably see in real life, like the giant trees of White Jungle, or the giant missiles in Metal Harbor that could go off at any moment. You could make an argument for Crazy Gadget or Cannon's Core fitting in as well, but I've never been in an abandoned military research ship in space before, so I can't really speak from experience there. All these levels also share the same trait. None of them require the player to ride on any grind rails that don't naturally fit into the environment. All these levels have grind rails, yes, and some of them are required, but it never removes you from the immersion of the level. Riding down the handrails of City Escape, grinding down the vines of Green Forest, heck, even grinding down the Golden Gate Bridge in Radical Highway. I took one look at these moments and thought, yeah, I could do that in real life. We'll get to this in a bit, but no other Sonic game sells me on being more immersed in a level quite like Sonic Adventure 2 does. Now, aside from blending into the environment really well, what else makes the rails in this game so great? Well, my dear viewer, look at this. Riveting, isn't it? Oh, what's so cool about this? Well, it's the fact that Sonic isn't moving. I promise you this is interesting. Let's take a look at a game like Generations. Look at what happens when I hop on this rail. See how Sonic jumps on the rail and it just gets a burst of speed out of nowhere? This literally happens in every other Sonic game to some extent, except for Sonic Adventure 2. Even Shadow the Hedgehog has Shadow slowly sliding forward on the rails. The grind rails in Adventure 2 reward speed with momentum. If you just jump on it, nothing happens. But if you come into the rail with speed or ride it down a slope, then you move faster than you could ever imagine. Okay, so far we've established that Adventure 2's rail grinding system is great because for the most part the rails feel natural to their environments and they reward the player with speed by performing well. But could there be more to it as well? Well, I want you to look at Sonic riding on this rail in Metal Harbor. Really take a good look at this picture. Now, take a look at this shot of Sonic riding a rail in Windmill Isle. What do you see? That's right, the rails aren't mandatory in the first picture, but they are in the second. Now, I know that some levels have mandatory rail sections in Sonic Adventure 2, but literally every other game requires you to ride on rails to progress. Pressing the B button rapidly for 30 seconds in Frog Forest while a glorified cutscene plays out isn't really my definition of fun when playing a Sonic game, but using the rails as optional ways to gain speed naturally and occasionally points is a lot of fun to me. That's another thing. Rail grinding used to be somewhat of a challenge to keep your speed up, but now I can just hop on this rail and ride it without any repercussions. Frontiers, I love you to death, but this is just embarrassing. No, I'm not trying to say I didn't enjoy Sonic levels that have grind rails in them. I think some of them are amazing, and others are Silent Forest Zone 1. I just think there's a better way to do it than what we have now. Let's take a look at Llennox's 3-step plan on how to improve the rail grinding system. The first step would be to integrate the rails into the surrounding environment. Rooftop Run from Sonic Unleashed does this really well with being able to ride on the handrails down steps, but then it also has this giant rail that circles around the clock tower, which really looks out of place. I love the level a lot, but this always confused me when I first played it. What I don't want to see is levels like Rail Canyon where I'm just in this valley with a bunch of rails randomly scattered all over the place with no rhyme or reason. Or like the entirety of the Starfall Islands. Now I hate to say it, but one game that does this really well that was released, I guess, in the past like 2 months is Mario Kart World. A lot of the rails in that game are built into the environment. Like you'll have rails just on the side of roads that you can hop onto that are like handrails or guardrails or whatever. So if Sonic games started doing something like that, I think it would be awesome. And something like that is what I mean by the rails should be integrated more into their environment. The second step is to make grinding on rails feel rewarding. Now I understand that in this point in time, the boost formula is here to stay, so we can't just remove it from here on out and go back to Adventure 2's rail grinding system. Instead, let's compromise. If you remember in Sonic Adventure 2, there's a system where you need to balance on the rails in order to maintain your speed. This mainly comes into play when turning tight corners in levels like City Escape or Final Rush. If you don't do a good job of balancing yourself, you don't go as fast and sometimes come to a complete halt. I'm thinking that a similar system could be implemented, in which as you're boosting on a rail, the rails would curve and turn, and instead of just going along with it, you need to balance yourself on the rails. That way the rails would be a means to maintain and gain speed with good gameplay, instead of becoming sections that make you calm down and feel at ease. When I play a Sonic level, I want my heart rate to rise. I want to feel excitement. What I don't want is this in my Sonic game. Sonic levels in the past have always been about gaining and maintaining speed, not just pressing right trigger to win, or in Sonic Lost World's case, nothing to win. It should also be used for mainly accessing alternate paths, or speeding up the current path you're on. Yeah, you can just run down these steps, but as soon as you gain access to the bounce bracelet, every run of City Escape is going to look like this, since it's just faster and more fun. It's kind of like gaining a super form in the fact that as soon as you can use it to go faster, you're going to want to use it because it's fun and it'll help you clear a level just that much faster. Finally, the third step is to bring back the momentum we got from rail grinding. We got to see this a bit in Frontiers, maybe a bit too much, but people love when the rails actually increase or decrease your speed depending on how fast you were going when you hopped on the rail. When I go down this rail, I should be going faster, not the same speed I'd be going if I were going up the rail. Now some games do have it where if you run into a rail that leads upwards, you'll start decreasing in speed the further you go unless you start boosting. So now they just need to do the opposite, where your speed increases as you go down a rail, even when boosting. I think this is more so a point on bringing momentum back into Sonic games, not just the rail grinding system, but my point still stands. Those are some of my thoughts on the grind rail system in Sonic games though. Do you agree with what I said, or do you disagree and just think I'm a huge idiot? Let me know in the comments below. With that all being said, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you all have a great day. Peace.